Thank you so much, Mr. Ricky Ponting, for having an interaction with me, having spent so many days at your residence way back in 2015. It's nice to interact once again, though virtually. I would have loved to physical interaction. Anyway, the first question, let's start with me, the rule of the impact player. It is being said that this is the revolutionary step, especially more challenging for the coaches. How do you look at this?
Oh yeah, look, it's a little bit more challenging, I guess. I mean, we put a fair bit of thought into, going into our first game, put a fair bit of thought into the type of player that we might need for our impact play. Obviously, that changes when if you bat first or if you bowl first. Look, I think it's potentially a really good innovation. Listening to everything that's being said, it sounds like the reason for the impact player was to try and get more Indian players involved in the IPL. So as it goes on, I think each team's probably going to have a different way of using it, different philosophy around it. We came up with a number of different ideas and ways that we could have used our impact player in game one, but we settled on probably the simplest way, which is also the easiest way to try and explain everything to the players. So I think as the tournament goes on, it'll start to evolve a little bit more. But I think what we saw yesterday as well, I think there's a fair bit of refinement that needs to be done by the IPL just to make the timing of it a bit better. There was way too much time wasted yesterday when we tried to impact Aman Khan into the game. I think they need to tighten up on that. And if they do that, I think it could be a good rule.
The other day, MS Dhoni calls it as a luxury, and that was like a sort of endorsement for this new rule. And someone like Hardik Pandya said that I am leaving it to coach. So do you think that IPL probably will give at the end of the IPL, we might have a clearer view and maybe International Cricket Council might adopt it in the, may say, next T20 World Cup? Is that a possibility?
Look, I think it's so new so far that we probably don't know what sort of an impact it's going to have on the tournament. I mean, I guess there's different ways to look at it, isn't there? If you're naming your best 11, or if you're naming a team, the impact player that's coming in is probably not one of your best 11 players anyway. So it's an interesting way of looking at it. So look, if it has a big impact on the tournament, then maybe the ICC might look at it and think about it for other events going forward.
Ricky, in that sense, that obviously off late, if you look at that, ever since the evolution of IPL, a lot of focus has gone into T20. The all-rounders. We don't get genuine all-rounders like the Callis and other players. So even if you get someone like Hardik Pandya, who is not playing all the format, do you think in future it will impact the evolution of all-rounder, somebody who wants to be an all-rounder, because everyone is prioritizing T20 cricket? They will say, in any case, all-rounder are not of that value.
Yeah, well, that was my initial reaction when I saw that the rule was coming in. Straight away I thought, well, if you're in your batting first team, you're probably going to play up to 8 batters and specialist batsmen. And in your bowling first team, you're going to play, probably 6 specialist bowlers with the ability to be able to bring someone else in. So my immediate reaction was that it might influence the all-rounders. And there's another way to look at it as well. You can potentially play more all-rounders in your team in the first innings if you're unsure of the conditions, and then maybe take one of the all-rounders out and play a specialist in the second innings. So as I said, it's still so new yet. I don't think anyone's really understanding what sort of impact it's going to have on the tournament.
Ricky, talking about your team, obviously, even before the tournament, we all know what happened with Rishabh Pant, and you desperately miss and your team. There have been talks that you want him to be in the dugout and all. What is progress on that? How do you have you had any interaction with Rishabh, and how we see his involvement in coming days?
Yeah, I think all of the players have had really good interaction with Rishabh over the last 3 months. I think it's 3 months since the accident now. And, I had a really good chat with him yesterday pre-game. He actually recorded a really nice little video message for the team yesterday that we played at our team meeting before we went down to the ground. And as I said a couple of weeks ago, look, I'd love to have him around as much as we possibly can. In an ideal world, I'd love to have him sitting next to me in the dugout for each game that we play, particularly at home, but that's probably unrealistic. But he made it pretty clear to us yesterday that he wants to come when he can. He wants to be around this team when he can. So hopefully we'll see him in the next few weeks.
India may not have missed Rishabh Pant in the recently concluded Test series, but do you think that his absence, especially post IPL, the WTC final, will be a huge word to fill in from Indian point of view?
Oh, look, to be honest, I think they definitely missed him in the last Test series. I know Brat, KS did a good job with the gloves, but I think they would have really have liked to have Rishabh's batting in there. Coming into that series, I think Rishabh was in the top 5 Test batsmen in the world. So you're going to miss that type of player, as we are, sadly going to miss him as well here with the Delhi Capitals. But look, I think thinking ahead to the World Test Championship, with guys like Ishan Kishan and KL Rahul, and if they decide to stick with Bharat, they've got enough keepers there. I think they could do a good job in that one-off Test match in the UK. So let's see how that pans out in the next few weeks.
Ricky, there has been an unusual build-up, especially from Indian captain's point of view. Rohit Sharma, just immediately after the Ahmedabad test, he said that he wants workload to be managed. It's been a long time when an Indian captain has spoken about balancing the interest of Indian cricket and then franchise cricket. Obviously, franchise will have different priorities, but in that sense, Australia, like Pat Cummins is not playing in IPL. Mitchell Stark has pulled out. Nathan Lyle is not there. So in many ways, Australia will have a fresh, rejuvenated attack, while Indian players, especially the bowling attack, will be jaded. Do you think that's where Australia starts as an in an advantageous situation?
Yeah, look, they potentially do. Yeah, I mean the way things are looking as well. Josh Hazlewood's been out injured. He's obviously not joined, not playing with RCB yet. I think for the first few games of the tournament. So there's every chance that he'll miss a certain chunk of the IPL and probably be reasonably fresh come the start of that World Test Championship plus the Ashes. So look, once again with that, it's a bit hard to sort of know what's going to happen. I think it sounded like Rowan was talking about guys like Mohammad Shami maybe resting up a few games through the IPL to be as fresh as they possibly can for the World Test Championship. So, I saw that Shami played game 1 the other day. We play them. We play Gujarat in a couple of days. We'll see if he plays that game. But it's a really difficult one now for every country to manage the workload of their players when there's so many domestic T20 competitions happening around the world, plus probably even more international cricket now than ever. It is a really busy schedule for all the players.
Ricky, do you think in that sense the IPL puts Indian players in awkward situation because like the Australians, they can't take the call. Like a Pat Cummins can say, okay, I will skip the IPL no matter what the money I'm getting. But Indian players say Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma, even if they want, they can't because ultimately IPL is a BCCI baby and they would not want the star players missing out. So how do you balance it out from administrator, coaches, players point of view? Do you think is there a middle way?
Oh, look, I'm not sure what the actual rules are as far as BCCI contracted players having to play every game of the IPL. I'm not sure if that's the rule or not. I would think it's the player's choice whether they play in the IPL or not. Certainly back in Australia, the players, the Australian players, if an opportunity arises during the Big Bash for them to play, they don't have to play. There still comes down to the player if they want to play. It comes down to the player if they actually want to take up a contract in the BBL. So, I really can't comment on that. But obviously, being such a huge tournament, I can understand why all the certainly the higher profile Indian players, I can understand why they want to play every game that they can.
My final question, Ricky, before I let you go, Mahendra Singh Dhoni defying age at the age of 42. Do you think because of impact rule, now players like Dhoni can extend it, say, maybe 3-4 years because he can just come in as a wicketkeeper captain, or maybe the likes of Chris Gale or AB de Villiers or Kyron Pollard, who have retired, they could have extended, or future players can extend their career because of this impact rule?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the answer is there. I think there comes a stage in everyone's career where the game just gets a little bit harder, and it's not necessarily because you're not as good as you once were, but there other things become a little bit more important in your life than playing cricket every other day and training and competing. So, and those players that you spoke about there, I mean, AB de Villiers when he finished was probably still as fit as anyone going around. Chris, probably had slowed down a little bit on the field, but he was still a very dangerous batsman. So someone like Chris Gale, he could potentially help for sure, but. that's also another thing. I guess by the end of this IPL, when we've seen all the games played and how this impact player rule is used, we'll have a much clearer idea of what impact it could have right through every team and the tournament.
Thank you so much, Ricky Ponting. Really appreciate your time and your valuable your thoughts. Always a pleasure to interact with you. Thank you so much.
No
and
worries.
wish you all the best for the season.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Ricky. Thank you,
Thanks,
Vimal.
Suprita. Thanks a lot.
Okay. No worries. Thank you.